me, just prod me or get one of those things, on the theatre stage. Somebody was on the stage too long, they get a hook and they just yank him off. So when Stephen approached, he said to me, "Can you say a few words?" And I wasn't quite sure what words. I could say divrei Torah. I can, I'm not quite sure. This is quite informal. But what came to mind was a conversation I had with a rabbi a few weeks ago. Let's call him Rabbi Shimon, Rav Shimon. Not his real name. But so how did the story start? So I have a chavruta with a rabbi who will also call Rav Shimon. His name isn't, but so this is the one. So I went over one evening, and it so happened that he and his wife had thrown a barbecue, and they had some extra meat. They had some extra meat which hadn't been used there. They said, "Do you want to? Would you like to have burgers?" And I said, "Oh, that's very nice. Thank you very much." And so they put the burgers in the fridge, and the idea was that after we'd finished our learning, I would then go and I would take the burgers. So we did our learning. We had a great evening learning. I left the house, forgot the burgers, forgot the meat. I get home, and I heard, oh, I forgot the meat. So I look on my phone for Rav Shimon. And the thing about when you become a rabbi, suddenly you get more rabbis on your on your contact list than anything else. But listen, this long of rabbis. So I put in Rav Shimon, and then I write down and I said, "Yeah, I'm sorry, I forgot the meat." And the response comes back, "The meat?" Question mark. I said, "Yeah, the meat." You know where this is going, right? And I said, yeah. And I wrote back on WhatsApp. I said, "Yeah, I left the meat in the fridge. I'll come and get it later." And he responds to me, and he says to me, "You have meat in my fridge?" And I thought, this is very strange. Then I work out it's the wrong Rav Shimon. The Rav Shimon, I thought I've only got two Rav Shimons on my, with that name on my WhatsApp group. He happens to live in Bet Shemesh. So I realized, and like yourself, I start laughing and laughing. I contact Rav Shimon in London, and I said, "You won't believe what's happened," and I explained it, and he was laughing as well. And I then contact the other Rav Shimon in Bet Shemesh. We all had about it, and afterwards, actually, the next day we had a lovely conversation. When you come to Israel, it turned out Rav Shimon in London knows Rav Shimon in Israel, which is even funnier, and they both know each other. Why do I say? Because besides the funny episode, this is a very Jewish story, and his response of "You have meat in my fridge." I mean, you can imagine he's just sitting there. It's 2 hours later. Suddenly he gets this weird, and I hadn't spoken with this gentleman for a number of years. I think I saw him when he visited last time. To suddenly get a message at 10 o'clock at night saying, "I've left my meat in your fridge. Can I come and get it tomorrow morning?" His response was very, very funny. But what it does is it just shows us how small the Jewish world is. We talk about Kol Yisrael, Kol Yisrael b'lev echad, that all Israel have got, I shouldn't remember this quote exactly. Lev echad, but what is it again? You know what I mean, right? Yes. The whole, I'm getting nervous on Zoom. Sorry. So the idea is one Israel, one heart. Sorry. Yeah, b'lev echad. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah, sure. That's right. Yeah. So the idea is we all have one, and it doesn't matter where we are. We share this common thread that we speak the same language. Doesn't matter whether we speak English, Hebrew, Yiddish. We all speak the same language. We open up our Siddurim with few minor adjustments here and there. We understand each other. I remember years ago, I went with my mum and we went to LA. and we did a trip of LA, and we went. I can't remember, went to some place, some restaurant, just sitting there having a cup of coffee, and this was the day we'd arrived. It was a 10.5 hour flight, and it was 8 hours behind. We didn't know what time of day it was, but we'd been told, you go somewhere, don't go to sleep until it gets to the evening. In fact, we woke up at 3 o'clock in the morning, not knowing what was going on because we were so mixed up. But what was interesting was that we traveled 10.5 hours around the globe, and we're sitting there, and there are two old men on the table over there speaking Yiddish. Right? It's incredible. This week's parsha of Vecht-Wolf, if you are a Balkara, is one of the most fun to read because it's so quotable. Quite a lot of the things that we say, Zota Torah, is from this week's parsha. Atem hadvekim, Hashem Elokeichem, is from this week's parsha. Ataharet eladat, we always like to say, especially on Simchat Torah, is from this week's parsha. It's like the parsha of sound bites. You read it and you recognize all Jews around the world. Doesn't matter where we are, including Israel now. Let's say we've caught up with Israel. We're all going to be reading this parsha this Shabbat. We're all going to be speaking the same language. The same language. And one of the clinches in this parsha, besides the psukim that I just mentioned to you, of course, we have the Aseret Dibrot, second set, slightly different. Shamor, Zachor. This time it's Shamor, Zachor, Shamor. And we've got, of course, the most famous prayer that every Jewish child knows, the Shema. The first paragraph of the Shema, that is the prayer that every single child knows. The first prayer we learn, and never the last prayer that we say before we go to heaven, for the final trip. One language, one people. It's extraordinary. And there is a story that's told of Dr. Schoenfeld, you know the story that after the war he was trying to rescue Jewish children. He went, I think it was Germany, I don't remember where it was, York, and he wanted to get the Jewish children back into the communities because they'd been saved by. And he walked into a room and he famously said, Shema Yisrael, and the kids who responded, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad. He knew they were Jewish children. Ish Echad B'Lev, one man with one. And I was just thinking about this. I was just thinking about how extraordinary it is with the conversation that I had with the two Rav Shimons. The fact, obviously, behind the humor, the fact that they knew each other, they know each other. It doesn't matter wherever you go in the world, you can speak to a fellow Jew, whether it's London, which is well, they speak Hebrew. London, Australia, I know some of you have got relatives. And it's the power of words. That's my words. I'm not sure it's 15 minutes, but just something to think about. And as we come away from Tisha B'Av, the international day of mourning, where we all sat and we mourned. Let us only celebrate as a nation. Let us only celebrate good things. Coming towards Rosh Hashanah, please God. It's going to be an auspicious time, a very special time. We should have, if it's not too early to say, a happy, healthy New.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. That was very interesting. If you know Rabbi Shimon, then we can add to the collection. So thank you very much for joining us today. You're very welcome here in Asia whenever you come. Even if you don't speak, you're very welcome to come and join our growing minyan. We had over 30 today and still counting. 35 people this morning. So it's when we started this minyan a couple of years ago, years ago now. You may recall a certain person on the executive said, "Over my dead body." Luckily, that guy's still alive, but he got it all wrong. You know, it's definitely a minion which we enjoy having. Anyway, I'll say good. Don't make a big room. Yeah. We'll need an overflow service maybe. Anyway, I will turn off the Zoom for those on Zoom, and then I'll do the bracha Corona. And we are continuing through the summer. We have speakers for the next at the end of August. So watch this space on the news sheet to see who's speaking, and then we're carrying on right through until Rosh Hashanah, and then we'll have a break over the Chagim because all the Chagim are on Tuesdays, so we'll have a 4-week break, and then start again with gusto back after Simchat Torah. So I'll turn off the Zoom now, and then I will do the bracha Corona. Okay, bye bye, people on Zoom.